Welcome back to the Always Aggressive podcast. Corey Palm, Tanner Lipset, Tony Ersland, the coach, the man, the myth, and the legend. We'll get to those legendary statistics here in a little bit.
Legend in his own mind.
Well, yeah.
Allegedly.
Guys, we got a lot to talk about this weekend. We're going to talk about a really exciting Monday night that you guys had at the national title game. That story took a turn for me when you started telling me, and I'm sure our listeners and viewers will appreciate that. That's going to be a little bit later on. First, big weekend on the road, at Nebraska, at Iowa. Heck of a road trip, a daunting road trip, a little fly bus combo action.
Crazy.
Across the Central Plains in early January. I mean, that is hell on earth for a lot of people. That trip itself. But
I'm one of those people.
But it started off about as good as it could. A big win Friday night at Nebraska. Let's dig right in. We'll start right there, Coach. Good to be back in the old stomping grounds and get the victory.
Yeah, fun weekend just from the perspective of two places that, had big impact on me, both as a coach and as a wrestler. So that was fun. Got a chance to see a lot of, longtime friends and things like that too. So that was awesome. From a competition standpoint, man, right. Starting off with two top 10 teams, so we're long road trip, both on the road Friday, Sunday, which is rare, right? You don't do too many of those, usually one and on the road for one. So it was a long road trip, and boy, was it cold. I mean, when we stepped off the plane in Omaha, it was frigid, boys. I haven't felt it that cold in a long time. So
it was like 4 degrees or something like that.
Yeah, brutal.
It just right in the face. Like we
went
were
right
like,
through you. But no, the good dual meet on Friday night. We looked good. We capitalized on a lot of situations. We won a lot of tough situations and made matches go our way. You know what I mean? And that's the best thing I can say. Yeah, we had a couple guys out, you know what I mean? Kendall Coleman and a few other guys didn't wrestle.
Yep.
And they didn't. And Nebraska was likewise just a little bit light at a couple of weights. But what really swung the duel, just from a total perspective to us, Garrett Nienhouse had that really big win over Labriola, out scrambled him, in the third. That's one of those key situations, right? Labriola's in on the leg, and we create a scramble and end up winning the scramble to close the match out. And then Max Lyon, who's been right there with Venz. I mean, he's wrestled Venz very tough every time they've wrestled. So you go in knowing you can win the match. I know Max, knew it and expected it, but really did a great job controlling that match all the way through. And those two big wins really stand out, in terms of us kind of cinching the duel. But when you go 5-5, I guess the other thing I'll mention is bonus points really, really did, were key for us. Evan starting us off with the tech. Parker had bonus points as well, right? So bonus points were big. And then even where you save bonus points, and I told Trey this, he's a young guy going through a tough stretch right now, right? As far as wins and losses go, he's having a tough stretch as a young kid in the lineup for us. But man, he didn't give up any bonus to a quality kid in Ridge Lovett. So that fight, when you look at all of those things combined, help get us a very big dual win over a top 10 team.
And Ridge Lovett's a pinner too. Like that's he was going for the kill for 7 straight minutes. Yeah. And Trey did a great job, and in addition to in addition to not going to his back, didn't get called for stalling, like was working, was trying to get up, was really fighting, the whole way. And so, really,
I was proud of the fight of the entire team that night, right? Even in matches where we came out on the short end of the stick, like the fight in general was really good. We just, probably made some tactical mistakes, and that's what you want. We can fix technique and maybe a tactical decision we made here or there, but the fight was good. And I just point out Cruzy because from a ranking standpoint and how dangerous Nebraska is at 49 in particular, I thought he did a good job holding it down to a decision just because he fought his tail off for us.
Absolutely. Let's dig in a little bit more on Garrett's win. Labriola is a guy who has had fits against Purdue at 174 for the last few years.
Indeed.
Yeah, Leidy had a good record.
Leidy had his number.
Yeah,
down the stretch. And now he comes out and wrestles Garrett and comes out on the wrong end. And the thing that I want to kind of point out is you see a lot of these upsets where a guy catches a 6-point move early or something like that. They catch a scramble, or they, something happens where they have a big move that leads to an upset. And that was not the case in this match. Garrett went out and got the first takedown, created action, held good position, didn't get called for stalling. He went head to head with the number 3 kid in the country and beat him straight up.
And I think that's he's learning how to be successful, at this level. And I know last year he competed for us, right? But man, it was such a shortened season, and with COVID and all those things we've always talked about, right? Ad nauseum. He's still a young guy, right? He's still working on things, right? And as a young man, there's some of that lack of consistency in what you have to do to be successful. And I think he's figuring some things out, and certainly this will keep him excited that, I'm seeing results. And if I do these things, come out, get aggressive on my shots, fight hard for every point, stay active, not get on my heels and get warned for stalling or let the other guy control the ties. Those are ways that he can still be successful at a high level. So, I still I'm excited and encouraged that he's seeing growth and development as we move through this year.
Yeah. A little bit, and obviously I think that's going to mean quite a bit when it comes time for Big Ten championships and national championships, when you look at seedings and bracket placement and all that stuff that's coming down the road. So hats off to Garrett on a really nice win. You talked a little bit about Max already and his history with Vens. He lost a lot of tight matches, but got over the hump, and picked up a top 10 win on the road. That was obviously, key in winning the duel for us in what ended up being a 3-point duel.
Yeah, no doubt. Again, you always talk about development. And for me, there's a couple other things that we've been working on with him. He hadn't competed since December 19th.
Yep.
So we've kind of been working on some technical things with him that we thought would help him against some of these better guys. And again, for him to have this kind of a positive result while we're working some things that he needs to trust, right, in big moments. You can work on them all you want in practice, but you got to be able to take them out in front of the crowd and your opponent, and that takes trust. And so when you get a result like this, that can help build that trust in what you're doing and kind of reinforce that in your mind about what you're doing and where you're going with it.
The other guy who won a tight one that would love to talk about is Matt Ramos. Mm-hmm. Matt Ramos got another, he remained on he was our one guy that went 2-0 this weekend. He remains undefeated, 9-0 in duels on the season, keeps finding ways to win. And the takedown he hit at Nebraska was some serious slickness, and our fans' appreciation can be observed in the fact that the video of him doing that on Instagram did over 22,000 views over the weekend. And so people obviously appreciated the slickness that he put on that throw by.
Yeah. No, I think you mentioned it earlier. Matt finds ways to win. He's a good competitor, and he's good about just finding out what he has to do within that match to get his hand raised. I'll pick on him a little bit because he does have so many different holds and different ways to win. I'd like to see him continue to open up a little bit more, be a little more aggressive and score a few more points, because I think that's going to serve him better as we get down to the end of the year. So I'm probably more talking to Matt right now, you know what I mean, as much to our listeners, but we'll
clip that part out and send it directly to him.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. I'll see him in practice later today. We'll talk about it again for the 100th time, but no, he's he's doing great, right? We want to encourage him to keep trusting what he does at a higher clip, right? Like a higher attack rate. That's the one thing I would say to him is, hey, let's make sure we see more of that. Give yourself more chances for more points, because he does have some really outstanding stuff. And you're right, that it's flashy. It looks clean. You know what I mean? People love it. And I just want to see more of it. I don't want to feel like he's teasing me, like I'm going to see it once, twice a match, let's just put it on a loop and see it over and over again.
Absolutely. And let us not forget that, this is a guy who's competing up a weight from his natural weight class. He is taking one for the team per se. And
but I think he looks good.
Yeah.
He looks good at the weight. I mean, honestly, you're not wrong. I mean, he can go down to 25, but I tell you what he's done right now with his body and where he's at. He looks good at the weight, so I am happy about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I don't think that he's gone out there and looked small against anybody. There hasn't been any match where I look out there and I'm like, man, our guy's little type of deal. Yep. But yeah, it definitely gives me pause to think about, God, if he's doing this against guys who are supposed to be bigger and stronger than him, it makes you feel really good about his future.
Oh, 100%. We feel really good about his future.
Corey, from somebody who was following along at home and watching the results come through as we went through that Nebraska match, where were you at as you followed the action?
Like all of our fans, I'm sure, it was one of those, you go into the weekend hoping that you can, put some good performances together and get a positive result, and everything kind of fell into place. I know there was a lot of talk, from the Big Red Nation that their lineup was short. That's why they came up short. They looked over the fact that ours was too. Both teams were short a couple starters, and fact of the matter is they still had 4 top 10 guys in the last 4 weights, and we came out on top. It was great to see that fight. Great to see those upsets. I've watched that 9-house scramble a dozen times. I'll watch it a dozen more while I'm doing this edit here today. But it's exciting. It's good stuff, and it really caught a lot of attention nationally, that performance Friday night.
Yeah, if you look, guys, I mean, right, like, this is why I pointed out what I did is we didn't win the duel because we beat their non-starters.
Right.
We beat 2 guys of theirs that one was top 5 and one was top 10. That's where the duel win took place. So, I mean, that's my point to our team and to our guys. Like, yeah, we had a few guys out, they did too, but you didn't win the duel because you beat those. You beat 2 guys that were 3 and whatever thens was top former All-American to win that duel. That's where you won the duel. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Clearly, I feel kind of strongly about that. It wasn't like, you were kicking their dogs or something.
Right.
We took 2 guys that were pretty good and got our hand raised. So we feel good about that.
As we should. Transitioning, Sunday, went back to your alma mater, had a not so great result against the Hawkeyes, but hopefully came out and learned some things and have us ready for these last 6 Big Ten duels.
Yeah, it's yeah. So it's funny, 2 sides of the coin that we've always said. You ride that high, and I felt like we were a little lethargic, you know what I mean, on Sunday. But I don't know. The Big Ten season is going to disappear, and you got to be ready every time, right? You imagine we're through this weekend, and now there's 6 duels left. I'm telling you, it's gonna disappear in the blink of an eye. Yep. And you got to create. Everyone's got to have that sense of urgency, and you got to be ready under any circumstance. You know what I mean? And so, for me, the Iowa duel was disappointing, obviously in terms of the results, but I'm pretty encouraged by the fact that those are things you can flip. They didn't get away from us because we weren't ready to handle pace or do certain things. I mean, we let a couple key situations turn the tide on some very tough matches for us. You know what I mean? Yeah, in the middle where we had some guys out, those things went against us pretty hard. But we feel good, like Kendall Coleman in there, is going to be fine. You feel like Devin makes some adjustments, you're fine. Parker was right there close with Ironman, and then clearly Max Lyon and Panola were very competitive with their guys. So it's situational wrestling. It's how did you give up the points? Where were they scored? Those were big. Garrett, you saw a lack of consistency, right? Like that's where I'm really at. And I talk about him being young, and that's probably why is one night we wrestled a very quality opponent, tough. We were in position and stingy with our points and managed situations much better. And then the next night, boy, we gave away a 4-point move, and you saw how quickly after that it went against us.
Yep.
Yeah.
The floodgates opened, and he gave up a barrage of points. And that's being young and inconsistent, where he let somebody break a match wide open for him. And he looks like mentally he got lost for a little bit, like he just wasn't in the moment like he should have been. So, while Sunday was very disappointing, and we all gotta, take that and it's on us to fix it. Know that it can be fixed, right? Like there's things that you can flip it, and you can, there's ways you can make it yours, I remember I had a teammate, Jesse Whitmer, who actually won a national title at 118 pounds, who got tech falled by a Michigan State guy. And then we saw that guy, he saw that guy at the national championships after being tech falled in the duel and found a way to win the match. And I believe it was at quarters at nationals, just by how he cleaned up some positions, how he wrestled the match, and kind of how he won some key positions that brought the match his way, and he stayed away from what the Michigan State wrestler wanted to do. So those things are fixable. You got to understand that it's only a match. What happened here in January doesn't have to happen in March. So you got to keep perspective on it, and I hope that's what the team's really doing, is that you're keeping perspective on it. But you also are smart enough to know we got to fix some things. We got to really go to work on where we got beat and hammer that out.
Absolutely. You brought up Parker Filius, lost a 7-6 decision to second-ranked, 2021 national runner-up, Big Ten champion, Jaden Ironman. Gave up an early takedown, and the ride time proved to be the difference in the end, but really pushed late to close the gap. Got a reversal in the second period, almost put Ironman on his back. That was an exciting sequence. Mm-hmm. And then just kind of ran out of time in the third period. He was chasing down. He got one takedown and was very close to securing a second one as time expired. And ran out of 7 minutes wasn't long enough, unfortunately.
No, I just ran out of time, right? The old adage, you didn't get beat, he just ran out of time. I really felt like that was right. Probably a correct statement for Parker's match. I was disappointed that we didn't see another stall call, because I felt like we worked our tail off those last 2 minutes to score. And it was our intention to wrestle for points, and he had kind of put on the brakes a little bit. And so I was disappointed that we weren't able to get another call. Not that you should expect it. You're in Carver, 15,000 people or whatever the crowd was. So you kind of understand where that's coming from. But, I thought it would have been appropriate, for our guy. And let's see if we can get more time, right? See if we can get that 2 minutes of overtime to make it go our way. So, no, Parker competed hard. He competed well. Again, he's got to take ownership for a few of the positions that he lost. But man, he fought himself into that match and gave himself every opportunity to get it done.
I was talking with a couple guys yesterday about that match, actually, and he was kind of in a no man's land situation there. Halfway through the third, he needed to grind on top to try and get that riding time down. But also his offense, Parker's offense looked really good and effective. So what the decision, I don't know if Ironman straight escaped or if Parker kind of cut him. I couldn't really tell. Is that decision, first of all, what happened there? Did he cut him or did Ironman escape? And secondly, in a situation like that, is that choice coming from the man on the mat, or is that something you call from the corner?
Well, so, I mean, I'll waffle on it for you and I'll say it can be both, right? Like, I mean, the guy out there wrestling's got to win the match. I mean, this is a sport where we work our tail off all week long so that when you pat them on the butt and send them out, man, the match is in their hands, and then all our guys know that, like, it's your match and they're going to make the decisions, by and large, to win the match. Now, clearly, if we see something or something's going on, we'll throw what we want to do. I think in that instance, Parker wanted to see where he was going to go from the top position because Parker's got turns. Parker can roll through tilt. Parker can ride. If he had the opportunity to really get Ironman down flat and he had him locked down, I think Parker's like, okay, I'm going to run riding time down off the clock. You know what I mean? And then see what I can do on my feet or even try to turn.
Yeah.
I think when you saw Ironman coming up and fighting hands, after Parker tried to ride him for a bit, Parker made the decision, okay, hey, no, I need to kick him. I'm not going to run the clock down and give myself enough time to score like I wanted. So it can be a bit of both, and then there's sometimes, we feel even stronger about it. Like if I feel like, man, we're really rolling this kid on his feet, we might say, hey, Parker, we got to cut, we got to cut him and let's go to work on our feet. So it's never just a hard answer. There might be times you test the waters and say, okay, maybe I can ride him out here and finish this on top and get it to OT that way or something. But you get a sense, right, as the clock ticks, like he's moving, he's coming up, he's got hand control. Okay, let's get to our feet and let's go there. So
and one thing about that, the longer you chase, if the guy still does get out, you're leaving yourself super short time to get anything done. So I mean, not being critical at all, just curious about that process.
Yeah, and the other thing to take into consideration is Parker did have a stall warning from the first period.
Okay.
That's when you're trying to hold the guy down, if you don't have that stall warning and you can really stall on top and just cling, but another warning would have thrown a point on the board for Ironman and kind of left us in limbo as well. So there was that to take into consideration as well.
Yep. No, I hindsight, as we sit here, we're talking about, can always be 2020. You just tell the guys you gotta give yourself your best chance to win. So you got to go where you want to go with it. If you believe feet, then we're going to cut and we're going to go there. If I'm committed to ride, I need you committed to lift, to return, to stay stingy on top, and believe and commit to what you're doing there. So it just changes situation to situation, right? I mean, I laugh. This is, you think of, I view it as like analytics in football. You know how some guys just use a computer to make a decision, right? Like, oh, the computer says go for it. That's of situations. But, does the computer know that the wind's blowing like hell that day and it's frozen and that your two best linemen just went out and they're on the sideline because their knees hurt? Like maybe you shouldn't go for it. You know what I mean? Maybe you couldn't run the ball all day. Maybe your two best linemen are sitting on the side and even though the computer says do it, you maybe shouldn't do it. And then that's how I look at this, right? Is you got to make decisions about where the match is. So that's why I can't give you every time we would do this. Yeah. And it's the tone of the match and what's going on and where they've been for the last 6 minutes or something like that helps guide your decisions on those things.
Sure.
So taking the results of the weekend, they resulted in a pretty interesting bit of news yesterday. Purdue jumped from 15 to number 12 in the latest National Wrestling Coaches Association poll for duels. And it marks our highest team ranking since the 98-99 season. It's really a nice step for the program and a testament to the progress that we've been making overall.
Yeah. No, it's good, right? I mean, those kids earned a tough dual meet win on Friday, and they've had a good, solid, season. So, right? getting to 7-2 against some good teams and some good competition. So it's those kids have earned that. It's kind of rungs on the ladder, if you will, right? Like we're in the middle of that climb. And so you use it as a tool to kind of see where your progress is at. It's certainly not the end all be all, right? My distrust of rankings, it's somebody's opinion, but it is indicative. It's showing progress, and that's how we want to treat it. Like, hey, we're seeing some results. We're earning some good things. Use that to kind of fuel the fire, I guess. Instead of always being on the negative, you got to look forward to some positive too. As a coach, I get guilty of that a lot. I can get stuck just on every negative that happened on the weekend or Iowa that you finished. It's easy to get bogged down in that and not be happy at all. And that would be the furthest thing that I want for our guys is, keep perspective on it. We got to own the loss. You got to own that happened, and it's on us to correct. But man, it's just part of the climb to where you're going. And if you treat it as such and use it as an opportunity, a learning experience, you'll be good. And that's how I want to look at it at this as well. As it's just indicative of some good things going on. Be excited about it and appreciate it, but move forward.
Yep. In fact, Vega had to call you out yesterday in our staff meeting. You were bringing the energy down. You were being a little negative, Nancy, and we needed you to flip the switch a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's true, right? That's that's 100% true. Again, as a coach, I guess I'm looking always at what we have to do better, and if that's the only thing you're doing, you're not seeing the positive. Right. And you got to see the positive, man. Like you've got to continue to want to fight, to grow and to build to where you're going. And the positive will get you there. It can't just be, damn it, we didn't do this well. We didn't do this well. We didn't do that. There's a lot of things we did well. Even like we talk about Parker, even in a loss, there's a lot of things that he did well. And you still got to focus on those things and then be smart enough to correct a few of the things that will make a difference for you at the end of the year. So I 100% appreciate Vega being like, hey, man, lighten up. That's a good thing. That's a good thing for all of us to hear.
You got me a little bit on that one. So to add a little bit more context to this, just so people understand, pardon me, over the last 4 seasons, we have now been ranked in the top 15 in the country 17 times, getting as high as number 13 in 2018-19 and 2019-20. This comes on the heels of cracking the top 15 just twice over the previous 14 seasons. So when you look at it from that context and you look at the fact that it's not just like a flash in the pan, like we had one big win and we're jumping up to this mark.
Right.
We have been kind of flirting in this range multiple times over the past 4 seasons. So when you identify that progress and you talk about a program kind of trending in the right direction, that's what we're starting to see here. That's what we're starting to, some of the quotes we put yesterday in our social media posts is setting a new standard. Setting new. That's
levels. What you put in there. You don't have to say we. Just say that's what I put in there.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's okay.
Yeah, I don't always like to know. Yeah, I don't always like to put a face with the person that's like behind the keys. You know what I mean? It's the program. Yep. Yeah, did I type the words? Sure, but I'm speaking for all of us.
It's the royal we.
It's the royal. Yes, royal we, man. But yeah, it's showing some sustained stuff. We've now been ranked in 31 straight polls, 62 of the last 64. It's starting to become an expectation, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. I think that's the key word, right? Expectation, right? Expectation for success, expectation for reaching your goals. So that's a good piece of the puzzle that precedes, in my opinion, a lot of great things. Like you got to expect to succeed and to do it. And I do. I think the kids in the group that we've got here expect, as I know our staff does. And so, that's exciting. That's, you'd hate to be at a place where there is no expectation for success and no focus and no fight and no will, and you're beat before you even walk into a gym. And that's definitely not the case. Our kids expect to win and expect to perform. And that, in my opinion, is necessary and precedes, the great things that come down the road after.
Mm-hmm. Corey, do you ever feel like when we try to get Ersland to talk about rankings, it's a little like pulling teeth, like it's a trip to the dentist?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's okay. It's okay.
But it's a good thing. Hey, I will acknowledge this. It's a good thing. Those kids are doing some good things. And this is, shows them, hey, the hard work and the good things they're doing, the life they're living and how they're competing is paying off. That's how I use it. That seriously, like I don't want to downplay it because I don't, believe in it. I do, but we're in the middle of the season. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about Michigan State here soon. So I don't want to get distracted by a number. I want to enjoy it. And hey, nice job. Use it to fuel the fire moving forward. Right? Like,
get back to work.
Use it. Yeah. Fuel the fire. Feel good about what you're doing. And let's move forward, harder.
Yep.
Finishing up on rankings a little bit. At this point in the season, we've now had 8 of our 10 starters earn some sort of national recognition from one of the polls. One of the things, and this is bucking a trend a little bit for us historically, there's a couple different sites that do like computer generated rankings. They throw, records and strength of schedule, and they throw a bunch of stuff into their computer. They don't actually subjectively rank. They put their data in that they feel is important, and it spits it out. Historically, at least, in the past few years, as I've been paying closer attention to it, the computer rankings haven't always been kind to us. Mm-hmm. And right now they're being very kind to us. And so, I don't know what that means per se, but it's definitely an interesting observation in the fact that, our guys have done well. They've placed in tournaments. They've got a variety of quality wins across some various weight classes. And, it'll be very interesting to see how we progress over the last 6 duels and what that means when it comes time for things like national coaches rankings, RPI, qualifying spots, so on and so forth.
Yeah. I think, just from a sheer data kind of a deal, it does represent that they're acknowledging we wrestle a good schedule against quality opponents, and that reflects positively on us. Because we do have a few guys that are pretty good. Their records, aren't as sparkly as say some other guys and, other conferences that haven't wrestled near the competition we have. Right. So from just a straight record standpoint, maybe it isn't going to pop out, but we've done the battles. And so when you talk about, who you've competed against and how that factors into an RPI or, where you rank amongst the nation, I think that's where that's indicative of that, right? I mean, you look, we've wrestled. What's Iowa State just above us in the polls now at 11?
Yeah, they're 11.
Iowa State's 11. We wrestled Iowa, who's 2. We wrestled Nebraska, who at the time was 9 or 8 or whatever. And then we've wrestled a lot of other good people in duels, right? That have had good individuals, plus been to Vegas. That's good competition.
Yeah.
For me, I believe though that pays off at the end of the year. You know what I mean? I think that being in those battles has you ready for March. That's what I believe. And so, I think that's what the computer takes into account when they look at strength of schedule, so to speak. Like who have you actually competed against versus just a coach's rank where maybe they look at a record and they see this kid was 14-2, and one of our guys is 11-5, let's say, but 4 of our 5 losses are the guys in the top 10, so
yeah. No, it's interesting. Like I said, it'll be we'll continue to follow it as we get closer to the end of the year. As we've been sitting on this, I've been sitting and recording here. Just got an email from the NCAA that said the first coaches ranking is set for a week from tomorrow, Thursday, January 20th. That will come out, and so and then we're a few weeks later, February 10th is when we'll see the first RPI. So some of those things they're coming here pretty fast, and we'll have to keep an eye on those as they come out and we get towards the postseason. So
and I think most people probably realize RPI is one of the prongs, right, of the qualification process for nationals. And so when we're talking about it, that takes your strength of schedule, right, who you faced individually into account, because every wrestler has their own RPI. So win percentage, RPI, coaches rank, those all factor heavily in, and that's why we want a strong RPI going into the end of the year.
For sure. Well, another opportunity to add to that RPI this weekend, we host our first Big Ten duel Saturday, 7 p.m. Holloway Gymnasium against the Michigan State Spartans. And, they're another program that has been on the come up in the Big Ten. They, have 4 ranked starters. And Roger Chandler's done a really solid job bringing them along.
Yeah, no, another quality opponent. As you always say, and it's true, never a night off in the Big Ten. Be ready. Be ready. So we will make sure that that we're focused and ready to go on Saturday night. Be really fun to be in the friendly confines of Holloway, especially, like I said, after that 4-day road trip. Half or most of which took place on a bus, right? Driving back from Lincoln, Nebraska to West Lafayette. So I'm really looking forward to just staying put, as that is our only duel this weekend, and really enjoying kind of that opportunity.
A few guys to mention in the Spartan lineup: Rayvon Foley making the move up from 25 to 33. Matt Ramos should get a shot at him coming this weekend. Potentially a solid matchup at 57 between Kendall Coleman and Chase Saldate, who split matches last year. Both really, really tightly contested. 84, Lane Malcheski, who Max beat last year in the duel, but has been ranked as high as in the top 10. And Cameron Caffey, who is an electric wrestler. Everybody, he's a fan favorite, just because a lot of big moves, a lot of cool scrambling techniques, and so on, and has great hair. Has amazing hair.
He's also in like his 12th year.
That you had to mention the hair.
Oh man, it's awesome. And he has a really impressive major as well. If I'm not incorrect, I don't remember exactly what it is, but he's supposedly he's very impressive academically as well.
Computer engineering, according to MSUSpartans.com.
Okay, I don't study the majors of our opponents, so I can't tell you.
That's why
Corey.
That's why we looked it up and brought it to your attention.
There you go.
He's an impressive young man.
Yes. Yep. Seems like a good kid. We're going to do everything we can to beat him.
Absolutely.
There you go.
We'll throw all that out. Yes, we'll throw all that out and let Thomas do his thing. It was a great match last year. Didn't go our way, but I think it's one that Tom could definitely flip if he makes some of those adjustments and does his thing.
Absolutely. No, you just brought up four very capable guys. It'll be a fun duel. It'll be an interesting, fun duel. Again, I think the team who wins the tough points in the tight matches and makes it go their way are the ones who are going to grab a hold of the duel and get it done. As it always is, right, against quality teams. For sure. Michigan State, 1 spot outside of the top 25 in the latest poll. They're a few votes short of that number 25 spot. Opened their Big Ten season with a 27-14 loss to Ohio State this past weekend. So this will be duel number 2 for them in the Big Ten, while it's duel number 3 for us. Opens up a nice little home stretch for the Boilermakers. We got 1 home this weekend, 2 home the next weekend, and then don't even have to leave the state. Just go down the road to IU for the next one. And so how does, when you get a home stretch like this and you get to take some travel out of the equation, how does that change your approach to training and how you get the guys ready for some of these big matches? I just think the fact that you don't have to adjust to conditions on the road, kind of puts you at ease a little bit, right? I mean, We rolled into Iowa on Friday or on Saturday night, let's say, and we're working out in their room, and you don't necessarily have access to the scale right then that you're weighing in on, right? Like you don't have everything all the time, right? Because you're on the road. And so just the fact that you're at home and you know the temperature of the room and where your weight needs to be, and we're going to have our shakeout at 10 a.m., it just, that routine, I think, is a good thing. Now, I got to talk out of both sides of my mouth, because you train your guys to accept whatever conditions come down the road, right? You cannot be so rigid that I have to have this to have success, right? Like you might be on the road and you're in a cold gym and you got to get a little weight off before you weigh in. You can't let that totally pull you out of your game plan. You know what I mean? So you train to be flexible in your mind to adjust to conditions, but knowing that at home, what it's going to be and what to expect and what you're going to have, I think, that's a nice thing, right? That's the home field advantage. So to have that for the next, couple of weeks will be enjoyable for our kids. And as you said, even after that, we go to Indiana, on the road 2 hours away to finish it up. So January, after being on a very tough road trip, should be a good chance to get some training in, kind of get the guys, refocused on some things we need to just work on, right? Because we don't have to travel. You're not losing travel days to competing. So we're here and we can really go to work on some of these things we've talked about as far as mistakes.
Something nice about being able to sleep in your own bed. That's for sure.
Oh, I loved it, man. When I hit my pillow late on Sunday night, it was awesome. I really enjoyed the heck out of that.
Well, it was a good thing you got a little bit of rest that night, because Monday night you did not get a lot of rest.
No.
And but it was well worth it.
Yep.
So
it was for people
that don't know what I'm alluding
Instagram.
to. For those that don't know what I'm alluding to, Tony and I were fortunate enough to venture down to Lucas Oil Stadium on Monday night and take in the college football playoff national championship game between Georgia and Alabama. And it was a pretty awesome experience.
Yeah. No, it was great, right? It's a national championship game. So that had its own kind of ambiance or energy, if you will, in Lucas Oil. And then I think the thing that you and I both have expressed to many people is the people watching of the fans was just absolutely phenomenal. So, I'm hard pressed to tell you which was better. It was the football, which was great. And right, the ending was awesome. But boy, watching the people was almost as good.
Yeah, it was special. There was, we saw some very close encounters to some fisticuffs between Georgia and Alabama fans and Alabama and Georgia fans and security guards and fans of both sides. And it was wild.
Yeah. Yeah. We had one guy get punched in the face and start screaming for security. I need a cop. I need security right now. He just hit me and he's pointing to his face. I mean, it got wild. We saw women being grabbed by the back of their jeans so they couldn't lunge at people. I'm just telling you, man, it got wild. It meant a lot to those people, which you love, right? Like you love a passionate fan base. I love that too. But man, you always got that line, right? Like you got a line,
It got blurry.
Line. There's some people ready to cross the line.
That line
got blurry.
And of course, Tanner and I sit in the game doesn't, really mean anything to us. We're just there for enjoyment purposes. So I'm enjoying play on both sides, right? Like I'm enjoying linebacker play of the Anderson guy from Bama. And then you're still watching, what Georgia was doing, running the ball, or, their quarterback who kind of really rose to the occasion. Like I'm enjoying playing both sides. But then you had this, this verbal battle or death match between fans.
Yeah. And it was, it got heightened by the fact that there was a seating attendant. Is that what you would call?
Yeah. She was a tough lady.
Woo, buddy.
Tough lady.
She was out for blood. She was having to wrangle people all night, from standing in the aisles or sitting on the stairs, that she took her job very seriously and imposed her will on Bama and Georgia fans alike. It was, I worried about her stress level at certain times during the game because I thought she's a little intense.
She was an older lady too, so she had like that little cane.
Yeah, she had a cane.
I don't think she had the cane when I look back at it because she needed it to walk. Like I think she had that thing for like effect.
Yep.
Just shaking
something in her hand.
You never know when you need that one.
Yeah, she might have known. So I was like, well, man, don't let the fact that she's an older little lady like fool you. She was ready to step to you and tell you what was what. So
okay. Even with her iron fist, it was still basically a bar brawl for 4 quarters. It sounds like in your section. So like, you imagine if she wasn't there.
Yeah, and it was we were in a smaller section too. Okay. Like I can't imagine what it was like in like the cattle cars that were like above us and below us, where you had like dozens of rows of fans that were 20 seats long, where things could have gotten intense. It was. I
saw some estimates where that it was about 75% Georgia fans. Probably is that yeah, okay.
It was a very pro-Georgia crowd. We were embedded in a mostly Georgia section.
Probably good that things went the way they went then.
It was funny. Tony and I, we didn't have, like he said, we didn't have a dog in the fight. But there were moments down the stretch with where you kind of wanted to see it go Alabama's way, just to see the carnage of what would have happened with some of the Georgia fans and the meltdowns that happened if Bama had scored down the stretch there.
I might be doing.
I kind of wondered. I'm telling you, Corey, I wondered if that made us kind of sick and twisted, because really you did like. I wanted to see like Bama tie it up and go OT, because I really felt some people were just teetering on that edge, right? Like, and they just needed that push over the edge. And so it was, I don't know if I should feel bad about myself for wanting to see that, or if that was just the right thing to do, because we were sitting there like, oh man, we need Bama to answer here. And let's get to OT, because Georgia was riding so high. Uh-huh. It would have been fun to see where it went.
Yeah.
So apparently some other Purdue fans that were at the game, I heard of one person that when Georgia got that pick 6 late, they took a beer shower.
Yep.
From
really?
The Georgia. Oh yeah. Yeah. House got drenched.
Oh.
On that pick 6. Like he's like, yep, I am bathing in Bud Light right now. It is all over me. And it was just pandemonium. Like they went nuts.
That's a long ride home is what that is.
Smelling like stale beer.
Stale. And it was, I tell you what, it was not warm outside afterwards either. So that was probably a frozen walk to the car.
God.
Yeah. No, but all in all, great time. And like I said, man, between the people watching and the game was something that I really appreciate the opportunity to go do, only being an hour down the road from us.
Yep.
Yeah. I discussed with somebody that's a once in a lifetime type of opportunity. You don't often get the national championship game in your backyard and the opportunity to go watch it and so on and so forth. So, shout out to Tim House for creating the opportunity for us. And, both, tip of the cap to both Georgia and Alabama on a pretty impressive spectacle. Cause it was a pretty cool game.
Great game
to be at.
Well, probably going to be a little bit less craziness in the stands Saturday night, but you never know.
I hope not. I want that. I want that. Give me that.
I don't want beer showers in the Holloway gym. The Boilermakers take on the Spartans. 7:00. Free admission. Better check myself before I throw that out there. Free admission.
Yeah, right.
Get out there. 7:00 start. If you can't, it'll be on BTN Plus or B1G Plus, whatever we're supposed to call that. It'll be live streaming on Big Ten Network. We'll bring the action to you there. If you can't make it to West Lafayette, the only duel this week. So you might as well play prime time on Saturday night, right?
Yeah, no doubt. We need everybody out, right? We talked about wrestling in great environments and what that is for the guys. And so, yeah, I encourage everybody to come out, watch these guys on a Saturday night. I know they'd appreciate it.
Should be good. We'll be back next week with all the results. Boys, we'll leave it there. Thanks as always. Until next time, boiler up.